Part 1. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 1. March 13, 1938. Windsor Kingdom, London City. The cold winter that is about to leave cannot bring much warmth to the city. Pedestrians are in a hurry on the streets. The impact of the Great Depression is still there. The shadow of war may come at any time. This city is not happy. Wayne Detective Agency, Belloc Street, East District, London City. 2.5 floors, with a basement, facing the street, it is barely a happy place in the not-so-rich East District. But this is the landlord's happiness, not Wayne. If he doesn't pay the rent, he can only go to the sewer to be happy. In the office on the first floor, Wayne looked at his client with a smile, and there were 2 investigation reports on the desk in front of him. Dr. Reiner, regarding your 2 commissions, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? I've been unlucky recently. Let me tell you the good news first. Reiner shrugged. He was a middle-aged leek that was ruthlessly harvested by time. Time took away his thick hair and gave it to the young leeks, and gave him the greasiness that the young leeks didn't want. As a doctor, he couldn't even grow a beard to protest. The good news is that the second-hand car you're interested in is confirmed to be an accident car. You can take this investigation report to bargain for it. Wayne handed over the first report. After identification, it was found that there was a 40-year sol ring attached. It was not recommended to drive at night, and the previous owner might grab the steering wheel. This is not good news. This is a gift for my child. I have to find another one. Reiner said helplessly, tell me the bad news again. I hope I can hold on. The bad news is that your wife does have a lover outside. Reiner interrupted directly, who is it, the brainless dock worker, or the damn failed art student? To be precise, both. Both, what does it mean? Reiner was confused by this simple word. Seeing the customer's confusion, Wayne patiently answered his doubts. In the past week, Mrs. Reiner met the dock worker 3 times, and the failed student 3 times. Each time, she met the failed student first, and then went to find. Okay, no need to say, let me read the report myself. Reiner interrupted again, picked up the report and read it himself. The copy was clear and organized, and the time and place were detailed, and photos were attached, which made him very convinced. After a moment, Reiner sighed. He did not fly into a rage. He calmed down after a brief anger. Wayne, your report is all correct, but you got one sentence wrong. Which sentence? That's the good news. Yeah, it's true. How about some more coffee? Of course. Dr. Reiner paid the subsequent commission fee without hesitation, and kept complaining to Wayne about his unhappy marriage while drinking coffee. Maybe because he had received the money, Reiner was no longer his customer. Wayne had no intention of listening to him at all. He interrupted him without hesitation and started to promote other business of the detective agency. For example, marriage and family disputes. Hasn't it been investigated? Yes, it has been investigated, but this one is yours. Wayne took out the 3rd investigation report from the drawer of his desk, which contained unclear evidence of Dr. Reiner's affair with a female nurse. Reiner's forehead was sweating, and he picked up the coffee with trembling hands to hide his panic. The copy was clear and organized, with detailed time and place, and photos attached, which made him very convinced. Wayne, how can you treat your customers like this? Don't get me wrong, this commission comes from your wife. To be honest, she is much more generous than you. Damn, that's my money. Reiner roared. As a social elite, he quickly reacted and asked tentatively, she hasn't seen this report yet, right? Dr. Reiner, my professional ethics require me to keep my clients confidential. I'm sorry I can't answer this question. Wayne seriously rejected the other party. Give me the report, I'll pay twice the price. 3 times. Hee. 5 times, 5 times is fine, so much money I can find a professional killer at the dock. Deal. Damn, you are a disgrace to the detective world. Reiner paid the money and took the report. He left the detective agency with a curse and vowed to commission Wayne to investigate next time. Nothing else, this kid is really something. The key is to get things done when you pay, and the efficiency is extremely high. In Windsor, where the process is redundant and tedious, this is a rare and excellent quality. Wayne counted the bills until the office was empty, then he said, "Dr. Reiner, I forgot to remind you that if the lady doesn't get what she wants from me, she will definitely not give up. She will entrust other detectives to investigate. I wish you good luck." Tisk, you're walking fast. After counting the income, Wayne started working on today's work files, took out his diary, and wrote down the client's praise for him. He was generous with his praise. Just looking at this diary, he is undoubtedly a promising young man who is helpful, broad-minded, and passionate about life. As for the quick money he made by violating professional ethics, Wayne had no regrets. Although he took the opportunity to make a fortune, he also suffered heavy losses. Half of Mrs. Reiner's deposit had to be returned, and the failure of the investigation would also damage the reputation of the detective agency. He earned 5 times the commission with tears, risking his business ability being questioned and the killer coming to his door. He was the one who lost. You can earn money by your own ability, and you should take it if you want. There is no need to feel guilty. When Wayne finished his work for the day, the sun had already set, darkness began to cover the city, and the streets and alleys quickly became quiet. Along with the darkness came the hazy fog. While calculating how much rent he still owed, Wayne went to the kitchen to prepare his dinner and said sincerely, "Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Reiner, thanks to your tacit marriage, I won't have to eat potatoes tomorrow. No tomorrow, no today, at least I have to fight potatoes to the end tonight. Potato cubes, fried potatoes, pan-fried potatoes, potato salad, mashed potatoes." At first glance, it looks quite rich, with several dishes. Wayne used a fork to pierce the potato cubes on the plate, and his peripheral vision glanced at the mirror on the bookcase, reflecting a face with black hair and black pupils. There is nothing to say, it's very potato-like. Take Mrs. Reiner as an example. If Wayne hadn't insisted on refusing, he could have received long-term financial assistance like the failed students. This is the 3rd month since Wayne entered the chosen continent. He inherited everything from the unlucky Wayne, from the detective agency to the rent, to the potatoes in the kitchen that were calculated by baskets. When he first came, Wayne saw that he had a small building, which was a commercial street, with an attic and a basement. With a life attitude of everything about money, he quickly accepted the change. Until the landlord came to collect the debt and moved the radio away. Knowing that he was a debtor, Wayne couldn't laugh, but when he thought about the fact that he owed more to the bank in his previous life, it seemed that it was not unacceptable. Then he couldn't accept it again. 1938, Europe, the Kingdom of Windsor, London. There are some changes in the details, but no matter how you look at it, it's the rhythm of being bombed. Just waiting for that person to raise the national flag. What's even more unacceptable is that Wayne didn't travel through time, but space. There are only 2 continents on this earth, one is the chosen continent, and the other is the frozen continent. There is no hometown he is familiar with, and there is no bald eagle that beats gongs and drums everywhere to steal oil. The frozen continent is Antarctica. Hundreds of years ago, it was also called the Dark Continent and the God-forsaken continent. Part of the God-chosen continent extends to the North Pole, where it is frozen all year round and living conditions are very limited. In addition, this Earth is blue, and the world map is full of water. It took Wayne a long time to convince himself that the reason why life is that everyone has their own helplessness. He should cheer up and look forward. It's not too late to put it aside when it's really not possible. Then he saw potatoes. I hate potatoes. While cutting up the potato pieces on the plate, Wayne recalled the difficult 3 months. His predecessor was a very romantic, no, a fool. He was obviously an outsider, but he opened a detective agency with full confidence. He obviously had a detective agency, but he was idle all day long, and he spent a lot of money in various social places every day. He obviously didn't have a commission, but he hired a secretary in a formal manner. Wayne didn't understand and said he was shocked. When he first came, the house was full of posters of female stars. His original body was not only a brainless person, but also a brainless fanatic. Because of the actress's long blonde wavy hair, Wayne tore off the poster and didn't throw it directly into the trash can. Instead, he put it all in his bedroom on the second floor. Perhaps because of the sequelae of time travel, Wayne didn't get too many memories of his predecessor. The scattered memory fragments were too chaotic to be sorted into a clear storyline, so he just glanced at them and put them aside. The clearest memory was in a small dark room, with a desk lamp on the table, surrounded by whispers, intimidation, and even curses and torture, which shows that the predecessor was still a social re-employment person with a criminal record. In addition, the original body also had a future diary, similar to a summer homework diary, with chaotic and illogical writing throughout, and most of the space was about fantasizing about marrying a female star and then living a shameless life. 3 times a day, sometimes 5 times. Because it was too artistic, this diary was collected by Wayne on the bedside table, and occasionally taken out to learn grammar in the dead of night. The original body was undoubtedly a failure. In Wayne's view, he proved how good the detectives in the same city were by his own idleness. In Wayne's words, there is no dark horse who can solve strange cases as soon as he enters the industry. The original body can be called a black donkey in the detective world. But it is undeniable that the original body worked very hard, but he worked hard and did not work hard. If he hadn't worked hard, he would not have ended up like this. At the beginning, Wayne refused the identity of a detective. The original body changed his job halfway, and so did he. He was ready to take a shortcut and become an inventor, relying on patents to live a life of worry-free food and clothing. The result was not very good. He was still a halfway inventor in inventing. He could think of small items such as rubber bands, paper clips, mosquito coils, zippers, and band-aids, which had already been patented by others. It was outrageous. Why were the natives so smart? Helplessly, in order to fill his pockets as soon as possible so that he would not starve to death, Wayne could only change his job halfway and learn to become a qualified detective. I have to praise the original body here. He spent money lavishly, had all kinds of detective equipment, and the bookshelf was filled with all kinds of criminal investigation books from entry to prison. There are also many well-known detective novels. Although Wayne's business ability is limited, he loves what he does. With hatred for potatoes, he works very hard. Perhaps it is a benefit after crossing, he has amazing learning ability and his thinking is much more agile than before. Some simple investigations are not difficult for him at all. His agile body can easily climb over the wall to enter the hospital and hide outside the balcony window to take pictures secretly. Being strong and agile has nothing to do with time travel. It is an instinct engraved in the muscles of the original body. Referring to his experience in the small black room, it can be seen that the police uncle did not catch the wrong person, but the time was too short. Wayne's time travel has another benefit. A book. Quietly suspended in his body, the specific location is unknown, it may be the brain, it may be the heart, or it may be the philtrum of the internal organs. The Book of Greed. When mentioning this book, we have to mention that stormy night. Before time travel, Wayne was a programmer. Seeing that his colleagues fired their bosses before the age of 35, and many of them were doing well, he and a colleague agreed to resign and jointly make a small game. Jose, start a business as early as possible. Instead of waiting for the boss to fire us, we might as well fire him and make games. Wayne, that makes sense. The Book of Greed is a prop in the game. Out of the evil taste of making Easter eggs, the two worked hard on the Book of Greed and stuffed a bunch of bugs into it, making the code contradictory and unexpectedly run. One bug is a bug, a bunch of bugs are called features. After the success, the two people in front of the screen were jubilant. While communicating by phone, they looked forward to the platform being launched, dreaming of becoming the chairman and reaping the benefits of the listing. It was hard to say whether Jose could reap the benefits, and Wayne certainly had no chance. He didn't know whether it was lightning or leakage, but he came to the God-chosen continent as soon as he opened his eyes. Jose, don't forget each other when you are rich and powerful. Remember to burn a few for me during the holidays. Or I'll burn a few for you. Wayne closed his eyes, and with the thought, the Book of Greed with a black cover and blood-colored veins appeared in his sight. The material was unknown, the cover was bumpy, slightly damp and sticky, and looked like the back of a toad. It wasn't like this at the beginning. Did it mutate? Wayne tried to turn the pages of the book, but he was powerless. Like many previous attempts, only the eyeball embedded in the cover slowly focused and looked at him. There were many similar eyeballs, all of which were densely packed with raised dots on the book cover, tightly closed one by one, and only the big eyeball in the middle would respond to his gaze. Limited to eye contact. Crossing over, there is a cheat, can't open. The more Wayne thought about it, the angrier he became. He used one fork after another to mash the dismembered potato cubes into mashed potatoes. Even more angry, there was one less dish. Wayne put down his fork and lamented, "Why is my life only desolate and endless hard work? Why is it that only Mrs. Reiner provides long-term financial assistance? Is there no noble lady who ran away from home, got lost and came to my door, offering money to take me in?" Bang bang bang. The office door was knocked, and looking through the dim glass, a black shadow lurked outside. Gulp. Wayne inexplicably felt a chill coming, his scalp numb, swallowed his saliva, and ate a mouthful of mashed potatoes to calm his nerves. If I remember correctly, he closed the door. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 2. Wayne remembered clearly that the door of the detective agency was locked, and it was locked from the inside. There are many urban legends in the city of London, such as the subway station leading to hell, the headless knight wandering in the fog, the cannibalistic alley, the underground tomb, etc. The sensational urban legends only exist at night, sharing a city with the citizens of London. They belong to the citizens during the day and to them at night. The two sides live in peace and do not interfere with each other. But if someone does not follow the rules and touches the other party's territory, they will evaporate overnight and disappear. When mentioning these urban legends, the dock workers described them vividly, as if they had seen them with their own eyes. In the past 3 months, Wayne has heard a lot of urban legends. Because he has not seen them with his own eyes, he sneered at them. Because it is free, he decided to believe them. He follows the local customs and locks the door every night to avoid close contact with urban legends. It's free anyway, so he believes them at least. Bang, bang, bang. The knock on the door sounded again, no doubt more urgent than before, as if Wayne would keep knocking unless he opened the door. Wayne did not open the door, but silently grabbed the crowbar next to him. The other party did not keep knocking, but pushed the door open and walked in. The black hooded robe covered the whole body, and the face of the intruder could not be seen clearly. Under the illumination of the overhead light, the shadow of the black robe was clear, which increased the pressure on Wayne. A layer of fine sweat appeared on the palm of his hand holding the crowbar. Wayne looked closely, although he could not see the face under the hood, but judging from the ups and downs of the robe's chest, he guessed that the intruder was a woman. Business. You are the owner of this detective agency, right? I have a business to discuss with you. Can we talk tomorrow? It's closed now. Although the woman's voice was very nice, Wayne still rejected her. The mysterious dress showed that she was a person with a story, and he did not want to be involved with such a person. The intruder did not speak, but slowly came to the desk, looked at the potatoes on the table, chuckled, and waved to put down a stack of banknotes. The portrait of the Queen on the banknotes deeply hurt Wayne's eyes. A single bill of 100, at least 50 bills, that is, 5,000 bills, was enough for him to work hard for 2 years. The bill was the legal currency of the Kingdom of Windsor, and there was also a copper coin, the gram. 12 gram could be exchanged for 1 bill, which was the so-called change. Affected by the Great Depression and the shadow of war, the purchasing power of the bill continued to decline, but for Wayne, it was still a huge sum of money. Can we talk now? Please sit down. Wayne sat behind the desk, with the crowbar placed horizontally above his legs. His intuition told him that this thing was of no use to the other party, but he needed some psychological comfort. With a handy guy, he would have more confidence when talking. The woman was very satisfied with Wayne's business literacy, and sat down in the chair in front of the desk without rushing. Wayne looked at the intruder closely and saw the lower half of her face that was not covered by the hood. Her lips were delicate and her skin was as white as pearls. He thought it was a good chin that was soft and moist. Judging from her appearance, Wayne guessed that she was not very old, between 16 and 18 years old, and could not be more than 20 years old. At this age and with this kind of beauty, she broke into a single man's house alone at night. She must be very capable or very capable. Judging from her generosity, it should be the latter. The woman's silence made Wayne feel unsure. He showed an official smile to customers and said politely, "Have you eaten? Do you want some potatoes? Black tea? Wait a minute." Wayne put away the 5,000 constitutional orders on the table and got up to make tea in the kitchen. God knows where the locals got the tea from when there was no maritime trade in this world. After a while, Wayne sat down again. Seeing the woman put her hands on the edge of her hood and wanted to show her true face, he hurriedly interrupted her. "I know the rules. I don't want to know what you look like. After tonight, no one knows each other. Don't take off your hat." Wayne raised his hand to cover his eyes. It was useless. The other party did what she wanted and didn't care about his opinion at all. The young woman had blonde hair and blue eyes, with reasonable facial features, perfect skin and bone structure, and a cold and beautiful face with full fashion. She was very malleable. She could control the pure sweetness and show the high and cold momentum. For example, now, with her golden hair tied behind her head and a pair of cold eyes, she picked up the teacup and smelled it under her nose. She didn't taste it and put it back in place. "What's the matter? Wild boars can't eat fine bran?" Although the woman didn't say it, Wayne still sensed a thick barrier called class gap. The top quality tea he spent a lot of money to buy was worthless in the eyes of the other party. "It's good, it's a big order." As a habit developed in his previous life, Wayne never complained to the wealthy client, at least not on the surface. He kept smiling and said, "Dear lady, can you tell me about the business you want to discuss? I need a job, and you need an assistant." Wayne was shocked. He pointed to his office. "As you can see, it's a small business and can't afford to support. I'll pay for work and give you 1,000 li a month. Apply for the assistant position of the detective agency. Forget it if it doesn't work. Welcome, assistant lady, you are hired by this detective agency." Wayne nodded readily, adding the previous 5,000, a full 6,000 li. Perhaps this makes him look very shameless, but 6,000 li is not comparable to morality. Hesitation for a second is tolerance for potatoes. Wayne extended his hand enthusiastically, but the other party didn't take it? He took back his hand and shook it himself, saying without embarrassment, "Your resume and ID card, oh, I can make this up myself. I am Wayne, the owner and chief detective of this detective agency. What's your name?" "Veronica." Veronica said a name that was not sure whether it was true or false, and then told a story that was not sure whether it was true or false. She came from a foreign country, liked detective novels since she was a child, and was determined to become a great detective. She would not stay in Wayne's detective agency for too long, nor would she cause trouble to Wayne. As long as the latter asked fewer questions, he would have endless queen portraits to earn during her employment. It was a perfunctory lie, seriously lacking in sincerity, but it was enough. Wayne nodded. At this point, it can be seen that Veronica has other purposes. It is unknown what it is, but it is not for him. He has nothing and is of no use. "I will live in the detective agency during my employment. Do you have any vacancies here? I need 2 rooms. I will pay the rent separately. Is that okay?" "No, you can move in anytime." Wayne sighed with emotion. There is an old saying that if you meet a good person, you should first get married. If you meet a noble person, you should first establish a career. If you meet a rich woman, you should get married and establish a career. He didn't believe it before, but now he understands that he has never met a rich woman before. Money is the way to success. Wayne has forgotten that Veronica has other purposes. He only knows that money is beauty, and beauty is justice. A rich and beautiful girl has double justice. Veronica is definitely not a spy killer sent by the enemy country. She came to a foreign country from afar just to realize her childhood dream of being a detective. It's good. Unlike Wayne, he also had many dreams in his childhood, but only one when he grew up. Afford to buy a house. The first floor is the office area, the second floor is my bedroom and archives, studio, warehouse, and bathroom. If you don't mind, there is a partition on the 3rd floor. No one usually goes there. You can move in tomorrow after a simple cleanup. I'm moving in tonight. Veronica looked towards the stairs, took out a stack of decrees from her wallet, and handed them to Wayne one by one. "Your bedroom belongs to me, and the entire 2nd floor will be rented. I'll give you an hour to move your things down." "Half an hour will do. Also, my luggage is outside." "Move it right away. The daughter of a landlord is a waste if she doesn't prostitute." The money Veronica gave was enough for Wayne to redecorate the detective agency. He couldn't find it and had no reason to refuse. But when he arrived at the door of the detective agency, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. The 2 doors were open, trembling in the dark background. A 2-meter-tall strong man stood in front of the door, guarding 3 large black boxes. He had a big waist and strong and deep facial features, and thick hair on his thick arms. In London, where winter has not yet left, the strong man only wore a pair of white shorts and a sleeveless vest. Wayne could feel the heat waves emanating from his strong body even from a distance. He is a practical person who knows how to reason. Seeing Wayne, the strong man smiled slightly and stretched out his thick big hand to him. "William, let's make friends." "Hello, I'm Wayne." The strong man looked fierce, but was unexpectedly polite. Wayne politely handed over his hand. When the 2 hands were put together, he felt the heat in William's palm and suddenly felt a chill. This chill rushed from the soles of the feet straight to the coccyx, and did not continue to hit the top of the head, but stopped at a certain place. No wonder he always felt something was wrong. Wayne noticed that William had a head of blonde hair tied into 2 ponytails and a sleeveless vest with blue and white stripes. He was dying, but he didn't let go and kept laughing. William's smile was particularly creepy. He pulled Wayne to give his new friend a warm hug. Wayne struggled hard, but he couldn't resist the other's terrifying brute force. In his sight, the blue and white stripes were getting closer and closer, and there were many curls of golden threads on them. Chest hair, a symbol of William's male hormones. Meow. A cat's cry interrupted William and saved the endangered Wayne. It was a black cat with golden eyes, lying on the black box with its hands in its pockets. Its sleek hair blended into the night, and it was invisible when it closed its eyes. Hearing this cat's cry, William decisively abandoned Wayne and raised the black cat with both hands, Monica, lifted high. Wayne. It was a close call, he was almost crushed to death by the chest muscles. William lifted the black cat high, and the 2-meter-tall strong man jumped and jumped. The picture was so beautiful that it directly dispelled Wayne's beautiful fantasy of blonde twin ponytails. A noble lady, a muscular man, and a black cat. Excuse me for being blunt, but he doesn't understand this combination. Well, that's not right. The noble lady ran away from her marriage with a pet black cat, and the muscular man who was her butler and bodyguard was with her. It immediately made sense. William, what are you doing? Hurry up and put Monica down. Veronica walked out of the office and saw this situation. She immediately fought with William. Under Wayne's speechless gaze, the gay man was defeated and Veronica easily took the black cat away. Veronica held the black cat in her arms and glared at William fiercely, "Your room is on the second floor. Hurry up and move your luggage up with Wayne. You will live in his room from now on. This is inappropriate." Wayne shuddered and secretly vowed to move all the sheets, blankets, and clothes out of the bedroom, and never leave a piece of cloth with his own smell. To Wayne's surprise, William also looked unhappy. "This is inappropriate, I don't want to." "Shut up, it's decided." "What about Monica?" "Monica and I live on the 3rd floor. Veronica said matter-of-factly, "A cat and a lady live in the same room, not a stinky man." "Tisk, you have no good intentions. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 3. The door of the detective agency was violently destroyed. For the sake of the Queen, Wayne did not pursue the case. The children only distinguished right from wrong, and the adults lay down to collect the money. He moved a cabinet to block the door and planned to change the door lock tomorrow morning. Then he moved a box and spent a lot of effort to get to the 2.5 compartment. It is said to be 2.5 floors, but it is actually the 3rd floor. Only half of the 3rd floor is built, leaving an open-air balcony where you can plant flowers and plants and hang clothes. Wayne was poor and was not qualified to grow flowers and grass. He only deserved to work hard, so the balcony was always empty. Veronica was very satisfied with the layout of the 3rd floor, holding the black cat in front of the window to watch the night view. Wayne knocked on the door and frowned. "The nights in London are very weird. You'd better close the windows and don't open the curtains." "Yes, this city is indeed dangerous, especially for ignorant people." Veronica did not look back, closed her eyes and enjoyed the blowing of the night wind. The black cat in her arms stared at the distant night sky with a pair of golden eyes. Wayne curled his lips. He knew that Veronica was not an ordinary person and was full of secrets. He just didn't want to cause trouble. After all, even though Apiao and the like have been around for many years, they are still too advanced for carbon-based organisms. "May I ask, will William always live in the detective agency?" "Yes, he is the detective agency clerk you hired to handle files. This guy is so strong that even bears shake their heads after looking at him." "How does he look like a clerk?" Wayne complained in his heart and subconsciously said, "What about salary? Does he also work with pay? What if?" "That's right." Wayne nodded seriously. It was indeed his fault for asking such an insulting question to a rich woman. Wayne reminded Veronica to close the window and go to bed as soon as possible, then turned around and went to the 2nd floor to pack her things as soon as possible. Who knows if William was already trying on his clothes? Wait a minute, Wayne, no, boss. Veronica turned around and said seriously, as your assistant, I suggest that the detective agency closes tomorrow and conduct a general cleaning from top to bottom. Well, it's a little messy. Wayne expressed his support. He had also planned a general cleaning before, but because he was poor and busy, he never made time, so he simply tidied up. After Wayne left, the black cat in Veronica's arms jumped up to the windowsill and said in a hoarse voice, he has the smell of death, very strong, and there are marks on the wall, indicating that he has recently had contact with the Death Walker, close contact, already targeted. The black cat kept talking, but Veronica didn't take it seriously. She protected the black cat with both hands to prevent him from falling out of the window. He is a detective and comes into contact with many people every day. It is too difficult to investigate, but the Death Walker will not give up easily. The target will be known in 2 days. If I can't wait, I'll check the files in his office. Maybe I can find some clues. That's all. Veronica frowned and said displeasedly, the aura of death on his body is too strong and very abnormal. If he hadn't been a living person, I couldn't help but suspect that he was dead. Yes, but it's also thanks to him that we were able to find the Death Walker so quickly. Second floor. Wayne walked into his bedroom and saw the tall William. The latter had sorted out all the female star posters and was holding the Mirai diary he found from the bedside table. His laughter was as powerful as a barbell. A 2-meter-tall muscular man with luxuriant body hair, wearing a blue and white striped sailor suit, and a youth training manual watching men and women fighting did not scold heretics, which made Wayne express his disbelief. Where is your philosophy? Hurry up and criticize it. The future diary is the original work, which is equivalent to being written by Wayne himself. He has to shoulder the blame, but he did not step forward to take back the diary. He was more afraid of retribution than social death. What if William held on and refused to let go? Wayne, you're here. Where did you get this diary? Did you write it? That's not a diary, that's the casting material for a single mage. William winked and said meaningfully, you have good taste, but Lily Hayworth is a singer and has not made a few movies. I prefer the male protagonist in her movies. He is handsome, funny, considerate, optimistic, laughing, and talkative. Is simply an ideal partner, what do you think? Wayne, with his ugly face, is the ideal companion. Wayne, what are you doing standing there? Come here. William patted the bed next to him. No, I'll pack up my things and go downstairs. Veronica said I'll get up early tomorrow to clean up. Wayne silently took a half step back to ensure that when William rushed over, he could close the door and escape as soon as possible. After hearing this, William stopped embarrassing Wayne, who moved a pile of spellcasting materials to the warehouse, packed up his bedroll and went to the office sofa. A night of silence. Wayne woke up hungry the next day. The physical work last night squeezed out the last bit of energy, allowing him to get the quality sleep of a baby daddy. So much so that despite the loud banging in the kitchen, he could still fall asleep soundly. It wasn't until the alluring aroma came that he suddenly opened his eyes. It's the barbecue, not the damn potatoes. Wayne looked over in surprise. He had misunderstood the eldest lady. He thought she was a master who only knew how to spend money, but he didn't expect her cooking skills to be so superb. Let's not talk about the color and taste. The other party was very good at the aroma alone, and even the glutton in his stomach was no longer sleepy. After a while, William, wearing an apron, walked out of the kitchen. His strong chest muscles and shoulders made the narrow apron look funny. If you have good eyesight, you can see the protruding chest hair at the collar of the sailor suit. William invited Wayne to try his best dish. You slept too much. It's noon now. I prepared fish and chips, beef in sauce, and fried noodles with mushrooms. Can't wait. Wayne? Take back what he said before. He didn't misunderstand the eldest lady. He misunderstood the muscle man. Soon, Veronica, who went out to purchase, returned. She was wearing a white shirt, a knitted suit jacket, jodhpurs and long boots. She was simple and capable, and had a strong workplace style. Wayne nodded repeatedly. People with beautiful appearance may not be beautiful in heart, but she is at least beautiful in appearance. Veronica's figure and appearance look good in anything. This outfit is not outdated even if it is put in the era when he traveled through time. Veronica bought a lot of things. In addition to simple furniture and daily necessities, there were potted plants, high-quality soil suitable for planting, and a bunch of bottles and jars filled with plant seeds, which seemed to be prepared to decorate the open-air balcony on the third floor. After dinner, she put on an apron, hat, and sleeves and began to clean the third floor. Her helper was the black cat Monica, who was holding a rag and trying to wipe the windows. William was assigned a lot of hard work, such as moving furniture and taking out the garbage, which made him complain. He applied for a clerk, and at the very least, he was a chef. Veronica did not arrange Wayne. It can be seen that she did not like Wayne very much. If it was not necessary, she would not even take the initiative to talk to Wayne. This directly led to Wayne being out of tune with this detective agency. Everyone else was busy, but he was idle, as if he was an outsider. The outsider was actually me. People have a sense of shame, and at the very least, they have a desire to win or lose. Wayne picked up the mop and joined the cleaning. He worked for an hour until the door of the detective agency was knocked again. M.R.S. Rainer. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 4. M.R.S. Rainer wore a black coat, a pair of expensive ladies' leather shoes, and a bird feather of unknown feather stuck in her round top hat. She was over 40 years old, plump, and her frame size exceeded the average of women, looking quite strong. As for makeup, I can only say that I tried my best, but the years were too cruel and ruthless. Wayne thought he was not a person who judged people by appearance, but if the above-mentioned woman winked at him, he would have to admit that he had no other shortcomings except judging people by appearance. It's nice to meet you, M.R.S. Rainer. Me too, Wayne. M.R.S. Rainer took off her leather gloves and opened her arms to give Wayne a hug. You could tell from her shining eyes that she would never let go once she held him. Wayne declined the warm hug and asked M.R.S. Rainer to take a seat in a business-like manner. He regretted that the commission was not completed. He spent a lot of time and energy, but did not find evidence of Dr. Reiner's infidelity, and suggested that M.R.S. Rainer try another detective agency. M.R.S. Rainer didn't take the matter to heart, nor did she accept the deposit returned by Wayne. She expressed her belief in Wayne's business ability and was willing to wait a few more days. I'm afraid this won't work. Time waits for no one. Dr. Rainer has evidence of your cheating. If you wait any longer, you will suffer. Wayne persuaded her again. He chatted with M.R.S. Rainer for a while and personally sent her out of the detective agency. Wayne, was that lady the client just now? Veronica walked downstairs. She was very particular about her appearance and didn't notice that there was a lot of dust on her nose and cheeks. Scars are the medals of warriors. Wayne saluted but didn't say it. He nodded and said, M.R.S. Rainer is a guest of the detective agency. She commissioned a family dispute investigation some time ago. Due to some accidents, she didn't get the investigation report today. I have limited ability and advised her to find another detective. It's just a family dispute. We can do it. There's no need to give up the business. That's what I said, but the situation here is very complicated. It can't be explained in a few words. Wayne muttered, trying to pass the topic with a vague tone. What did you find out? Veronica narrowed her eyes. The clues delivered to the door must not be easily let go. Well, how should I put it? How about we continue to clean up and wait? Swish. Wayne's hesitation was regarded by Veronica as a bargaining chip. She decisively opened the way with money and handed over 2 portraits of the Queen. Wayne accepted it silently. It was a wonderful misunderstanding. He did not reject it and hoped that Veronica would continue next time. The situation is like this. Some time ago, Dr. Reiner commissioned Mrs. Reiner that afternoon. I conducted follow-up investigations on the couple separately. Because Dr. Reiner came first, both reports were given to him. To express his gratitude, he took the initiative to pay. Wayne recounted the cause and effect. The professional ethics of detectives does not allow me to resell the investigation results. I am a principled person and will not accept Mrs. Reiner's commission again, so I advised her to find another way. Veronica. According to her education, the word professional ethics is not used in this way. Veronica rolled her eyes beautifully. This morning, she looked through the diary on her desk. Because reading someone else's diary without consent is equivalent to prying into privacy, it is immoral, so she asked Wayne. Wayne was sleeping at the time and didn't speak. Not speaking means tacit consent. In the diary, the clients spoke highly of Wayne, praising the handsome guy's professionalism and moral standards. The records of the trivialities and bits of life also showed that Wayne was an outstanding young man who was positive and upright. He abides by the law, he is willing to help others, he injects positive energy into the decadent society, and he is a benchmark for contemporary young people to learn from. Veronica was shocked after reading the diary, and her impression of Wayne changed greatly. She felt ashamed of her misunderstanding of Wayne's character, and asked William to make more delicious food to compensate for her offensive behavior of peeping into the diary. Now she understands why such a private thing as the diary was not locked up, but placed on the desk where it is easily accessible. It's terrible. The female college student feels that she has been played by social garbage. Go on, what have you found out about Mrs. Reiner? Veronica handed over a portrait of the Queen with an expressionless face. Mrs. Reiner smelled of death and had been in closer contact with the Death Walker than Wayne. If they followed this line, they would soon find the hidden target. According to the investigation, Mrs. Reiner is well known in the dock workers and downtrodden art circles for her charity, and she has a good relationship with people. Wayne was not guilty of taking money to do things, and he said it all in one go. From a work perspective, it is reasonable and logical for the detective to tell his assistant about the results of the investigation. From a business perspective, he did not sell the information to Mrs. Reiner and adhered to his professional ethics. To be specific, who are the painter and the dock worker? Why are you asking these questions? Wayne frowned. Assistant Way, don't make it difficult for the boss. I have received money from Dr. Reiner, and our detective agency will not provide investigation services for Mrs. Reiner. It has nothing to do with Mrs. Reiner. Now I am entrusting you to conduct the investigation. Veronica shook the banknotes in her hand. Please sit down. Can't you just struggle a bit? London can be divided into 5 districts based on politics and economy. The Central District, located in the center, is also known as Innerenden and the city of Indan. It is the political, economic, and cultural center of the entire Windsor Kingdom. There are the best universities, the best hospitals, the largest stock markets, museums, theaters, etc., which are firmly controlled by the new capitalists who have been transferred from noble masters. The West and North districts are the gathering places of the middle class. The East and South districts are the largest in area and have the worst resources in all aspects. They are the gathering places of ports, industries, and warehouses. Most of the people living here are working class. Port dock. The sailors untied the ropes, and the melodious whistle sailed away. The scorching sun, the sea, and the curses weaved a chapter unique to this place. The scenery of the dock is completely different in the eyes of different people. The dock in the eyes of the upper class is romantic. In the sound of seagulls, the sailors sang a uniform hymn of courage and sailed to foreign countries. They pursued the true meaning of life, explored unknown routes, brought wealth, and sent civilization. Everything seemed to come out of an oil painting. In the eyes of the lower class, the docks are dirty, full of noisy seagulls, cold seawater, and workers who are like themselves, struggling for their livelihoods and have to be unkempt and covered with stains and sweat. If this can be considered an oil painting, it must be stepped on with the dirtiest feet, dipped in the smelliest mud and grease. As an old capital power, the industrial facilities and supporting infrastructure of the Kingdom of Windsor are backward, and it is inevitable that it has embarked on a downward slope of low production capacity. Coupled with the influence of economic depression, war, and other factors, the docks at that time were far from the prosperity of the past. Nearing afternoon tea time, Veronica was enjoying black tea in a restaurant with her black cat Monica, while Wayne and William split up to look for dock worker Pluto. Pluto is one of Mrs. Reiner's crotch high cow, who is strong and powerful. Wayne looked for the other party as usual, but didn't find him. According to his co-workers, Pluto didn't go to work today. He might have gone to the warehouse area or slept at home. On the way, Wayne unfortunately met William, who was very excited when he saw him, and held him tightly, sighing and complaining. "Wayne, I just met a young down-and-out nobleman, who was in debt and had to come to the dock to find a job. I suggested to him that since he was in debt, he might as well use his butt to pay off the debt, but he refused. It's a pity. I don't know who will get the job in the future." After that, I found a few more, but none of them were as young and handsome as the down-and-out nobleman. Wayne. What is this, a gay version of Aquaman, a safe haven for ships, the legendary Wannsee Wharf? No, it seems that you haven't done anything for a long time. Wayne refused to communicate with William, and after finding Veronica, he explained the situation. Next, should he go to Pluto's house to continue looking for people, or go to the apartment of the failed art student to have a look? Go find a painter. The failed art student is named Abel. He is a literary youth who has failed the exams repeatedly but has a firm artistic concept. Because he has been funded by noble ladies for many years, his youth has been squeezed out. Without youth, there is no support, and without support, there is no income. Abel could not afford the rent and moved from the North District to the East District. Mrs. Reiner is not Abel's first sponsor, and her figure and appearance are not the best, but Abel is used to seeing the whip ball, saying that compared with the noble ladies in the North District, Mrs. Reiner can be called gentle and kind. Cultivating one's character is a yes. Abel plans to pursue art in the East District and earn a living. When he recovers, he will return to the North District. He is a person who is unwilling to endure hardships but can endure hardships. In the taxi, Wayne told Veronica about Abel's deeds as tactfully as possible. He sat in the co-pilot, and Veronica, Black Cat, and William sat in the back seat. As he spoke, Wayne looked back from time to time, wondering why Veronica was perfunctory. She was obviously not interested in this commission, but she insisted on investigating it to the end. What was the reason? The taxi stopped at the street corner. Wayne walked to the third floor of the apartment building. The wooden floor creaked, and there was a lot of household garbage on both sides of the corridor. The mouse flashed by quickly and disappeared in the cracks of the corners. Everything showed that Abel's life had fallen to the bottom like his body. Wayne walked on the balcony last time, and this time he walked on the stairs. Just when he wanted to knock on the door, William pushed him open directly, and his fist as big as a casserole hit the wooden door. The door was opened, and Abel was wearing a single piece of clothing and wrapped in a blanket. He looked at the extraordinary Veronica with a puzzled look, and then he was intimidated by William's dancing chest muscles and quickly closed the door. It was too late. William pushed the door directly and almost knocked Abel to the ground. "Mr. Painter, Our Lady wants to talk to you about long-term assistance." "Is there such a good thing?" Abel was ecstatic. With Veronica's conditions, let alone assistance, he would do it for free. Such a spiritual girl can inspire countless creative inspirations with just a little collision. Thinking of this, Abel felt that his body was full of strength. He did it again. The camera turned and Abel was tied to a chair with a piece of cloth stuffed in his mouth. Wayne? Such a skilled art of torture. If he refused last night, would he have ended up like this? Don't be afraid, we are not good people. As long as you answer our questions obediently, we will not only not hurt you, but also pay you a considerable reward. William grinned and pumped his chest muscles. Of course, you can refuse, but the end result is that the tender daisy will be ravaged and become as big as a sunflower. Abel shook his head desperately. He knew nothing. Wayne rolled his eyes and barely responded professionally. This threat probably wouldn't scare Abel. He came to Veronica's side and whispered, "What's the matter? You said you wouldn't cause me any trouble." Veronica didn't answer. She took out a glass bottle from her lady's purse. Wayne looked curiously and saw colorful mushrooms inside. Judging from the color, these mushrooms tasted great. As expected, the mushrooms were so delicious that they caused hallucinations. Abel was forced to have a mouthful of mushrooms by William. His pupils gradually lost focus, and his whole face was blank and lifeless. He smiled foolishly. "Who left the mark on you?" William held Abel's right hand tightly, and a ray of light flashed. A black inverted triangle symbol slowly emerged on the skin on the back of Abel's hand. This symbol represents death and is the mark of the followers of the goddess of death. Wayne looked at the scene in surprise, and a wave of heat rose in his chest. The book of greed that could only be seen but not responded to expressed his desire at the moment the light came on. Want. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 5. Wayne said nothing and swallowed to suppress his shock. He held his breath and looked at William's palm. The light disappeared so quickly that he almost thought it was an illusion. When he heard the urban legend, Wayne had a hunch that the world was not as simple as it seemed. The scene just now undoubtedly confirmed his suspicion. It's terrible. As an ordinary person, Wayne has noticed the malice from the world. Rather than the unknown magical style, he hopes that everyone will be as ordinary as him. Unless, he is not ordinary either. The Book of Greed. At this moment, Wayne was more eager than ever to open the book. Who branded you? Facing William's question, Abel looked even more confused. After a moment, he thought of something, but when he started to tell the story, the death believer mark on the back of his hand suddenly changed. 4 tentacles extend from the left and right sides of the inverted triangle symbol, fangs and claws, like a simplified black spider. The symbol penetrates deeply into the bone marrow and even the soul. It is far from being a simple tattoo on the surface. The toxins from the 8 spider legs generally spread along the blood vessels, spreading rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, occupying the entire arm. Abel groaned in pain, seeming to be engaging in some kind of resistance and struggle. His facial features were twisted together. The more he struggled, the more painful he became. At this moment, let alone speaking, even breathing became extremely difficult. William tightened his fingers, clasping Abel's wrist tightly like an iron pincer. The warm light lit up again, dispelling the darkness and driving back the 8 spider legs. Abel's moans immediately became comfortable, and at the same time, the Book of Greed expressed his desire again, making Wayne greedy. Too bad, it's William. Thanks to William's help, Abel's pain was greatly reduced and he returned to the state of dementia. He spoke and talked about a party in the warehouse district. Abel didn't know much. He was not familiar with the cult of death. To be precise, he was not even a peripheral member. He was a believer who was developed incorrectly. Because of his years of hard work, his steps were sloppy, his eyes were dull, and his skinny body looked lifeless. he was noticed by nearby believers of the goddess of death and mistakenly entered the stronghold in the warehouse area. The other party had a large number of people, and Abel did not dare to resist. After drinking a glass of black rum, the mark of a follower of the goddess of death appeared on the back of his hand. The information provided by Abel was dispensable. Only the stronghold in the warehouse area was worthy of in-depth investigation. Under William's questioning, Abel told a few more names. Among them, the name of dockworker Pluto caught the attention of several people. Mrs. Reiner, Abel, and Pluto are all related to each other. The aura of the Death Walker in Mrs. Reiner's body is most likely to come from Pluto. Even if he is not a real Death Walker, it will be an important clue. Let's go to the warehouse district. Veronica made a quick decision and walked out of the house with the black cat in her arms. William knocked Abel unconscious, grabbed a blanket and covered him, turned around and chased after him. Wayne was stunned on the spot. His intuition told him that going here was dangerous, and he would definitely regret it if he went, but if he didn't go, I will regret it even more. Thinking about this dangerous world and the unopenable book of greed, he gritted his teeth and followed. Shall we go to the warehouse district now? On the street, Wayne looked at his watch and said tangledly, "It's getting late, it's already dark in the warehouse district." He rushed from the dock to Abel's apartment and then back to the warehouse area near the dock. It took a lot of time. Wayne refused to admit it. Deep down, he was very resistant to London's night. If possible, he would hope to leave tomorrow morning. William saw Wayne's thoughts and slapped him on the shoulder. His big hand was generous and strong, with amazing heat, and he squeezed it. "You must have seen it." "Yes, Veronica and I are both magicians. So the dark night is scary, but the moonlight will guide us and nothing will happen. You just keep talking. Why are you moving your hands and feet? Also, it's understandable that the beautiful girl Veronica is a magician. How come you, a muscular guy, become a magician? Can't you recruit people?" Feeling William's strong and warm hands, Wayne's eyelids jumped and he said dryly, "I have only read descriptions of magicians in novels. I heard that it is very difficult and requires high talent, so, I can be a magician." "Yes, but first, you have to have your own beliefs," William said with a serious face. "Shut up, you talk too much, don't involve ordinary people," Veronica interrupted coldly. "I know, but Wayne has been involved. He has a strong sense of death, and the Death Walker has found him." William refused to accept the words and spoke back, his voice getting smaller and smaller at the end of the words. It was obvious that he was afraid of Veronica. Wayne's eyes widened. What does it mean that there is a strong sense of death? What does it mean that the Death Walker has targeted him? Please speak clearly when talking about life and death. Don't be afraid. Once the death cult stronghold in the warehouse district is destroyed, you will be safe from now on. William patted Wayne's shoulder again, and when Veronica wasn't paying attention, he injected a little light into Wayne's body. Veronica glanced at William and said nothing. In the taxi, Wayne said nothing and seemed to be concentrating with his eyes closed, flipping through the Book of Greed without anyone noticing. The book is open. William did not teach Wayne what magic was, but he set up a defensive magic on Wayne, a simple application of magic and faith, not complicated, to protect Wayne from the threat of death at critical moments. Wayne didn't know this, and he didn't have time to know it. The moment the light entered his body, the Book of Greed swallowed it in one gulp, as if he had obtained a key to open it, allowing Wayne to browse the contents of the book. There was nothing to see, almost all blank pages. The good news was that Wayne's name was written on the first page of the Book of Greed. The bad news was that the book was too unfamiliar and was completely different from Wayne's original intention of writing the code. Wayne didn't understand why, so he could only complain that Jose had mixed in his private goods, or that a bunch of bugs had run out of new features. When Wayne wrote the Book of Greed, he added a lot of settings, including title bonus, attribute doubling, full attribute immunity, and out-of-domain gods. Among them, there was a setting called Sacrifice, which was to sacrifice a player, obtain all the items in the other party's package, and freeze the account for 7 days. It was simple, crude, and unreasonable, which seriously affected the balance of the game, but as an administrator's exclusive artifact, it was understandable to be stronger, otherwise it would not be able to control the situation. After all, it is the fourth disaster. If the administrator is not full of majesty, he will only be played by them and become a soft bone with a full heart of righteousness. Now, the settings of the Book of Greed are mostly gray and white. I don't know whether it can't be opened temporarily or it has been permanently deleted. Even if there are fish that slip through the net, the effect cannot be compared with the original. Take the sacrifice as an example, from the initial sacrifice of a living being to the current contract with a certain living being. Wayne tried it, and the first choice was Veronica. The contract failed, and the plan to enslave the magic girl fell through. Later, he reluctantly changed to William, but still failed. Even the black cat Monica could not succeed. Wayne can understand that he can't sign a contract with the magician and the magician's pet. He is too bad and has no qualifications, but what is the matter with the taxi driver and the passers-by on the street? I finally activated the gold finger and was ready to do a big job, but the result was the same as not opening it, and I lost a magic. Is the gold finger too bad, or is the user weak and incompetent? The more Wayne thought about it, the more he felt he was losing. At this moment, the Book of Greed successfully captured a living being that could sign a contract. No, it was a vengeful spirit. On the blank pages of the book, a series of bloody codes appeared, and the contract was generated, waiting for Wayne to sign and confirm. Without hesitation, Wayne left his name on the contract as his mind turned. Humble prayer, resentful and wrong dead, I heard your wailing. Under the witness of the sacred contract, everything you have belongs to me. You can keep the past but lose the future. You have been given a chance to be reborn. You will become a spirit of revenge, wielding the butcher knife for your own master, your own God, and for me. Wayne. This thing, how can I say it, it doesn't sound like a good person. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Feng Chao Huang. Chapter 6. Wayne was a little nervous when he signed an unequal treaty for the first time. He eagerly flipped through the Book of Greed to see who the lucky villain was. The result is not very good. The contract partner is not only not a living person, but not even a human being. A dog. The moment the contract was signed, the table of contents appeared on the second page, and the page where the vengeful spirit was opened showed the true appearance of the first dependent servant. A vicious dog with half of its body rotting away, its gums exposed, one side of its eyes gray and white, and one side only a black eye socket. Its abdominal ribs were exposed, and all the internal organs in its abdominal cavity had disappeared. The remaining black fur stuck to the festering muscles, and the overflowing unknown black and yellow liquid was like glue. Several parties worked together to barely hold the dilapidated body together. It was a stomach-turning sight, and even though it was just the image, Wayne could smell a nauseating stench. You. He retched twice and almost vomited in the car. Man, if you throw up in the car, I'll throw you out. The taxi driver was very dissatisfied. The car was his lover, and he would not allow anyone to mess up his beloved. You can't blame me, your car smells too much, Wayne immediately replied. It was the taxi driver's lover who smelled too much. The interlude ends with Wayne continuing to flip through the pages of the book where the vengeful spirit is, getting both good and bad news. The spirit of vengeance is a dependent. Strictly speaking, the moment it becomes a spirit of vengeance, the opponent is no longer a resentful spirit, but a magical life transformed by the Book of Greed. As Wayne's dependent, servant, and summon. All actions of the spirit of vengeance depend on Wayne's magic power, and only Wayne's magic power can feed the other party. Wayne had no magic power, so he was able to open the Book of Greed and sign his first dependent, all because of the magic that William cast on him. Because of this, he was unable to summon his followers and drive them. If it does not receive the magic power of its master for a long time, the vengeful spirit will go crazy due to hunger until it disappears completely. The vengeful spirit has two options at this point. First, the devourer gained freedom and wandered in the fog of night, becoming a new urban legend. Second, wait for death in place, and offer the most sincere curse to the master before dying. Seeing this, Wayne felt a chill, fearing that his family would entrust him with dreams in the middle of the night. He consoled himself that dogs are loyal and man's best friend. If a dog can have any bad intentions, it will never bite its owner. The good news is that contracts and sacrifices have some similar effects. Wayne has gained some of the abilities of his dependents, including two, namely smell and supernatural sensing. There is nothing much to say about the sense of smell. Dogs are best at it. Supernatural sensing is also easy to understand. When it comes to humans, it is called the sixth sense. When it comes to dogs, it is beast intuition. The two abilities do not require the use of magic. The moment they are acquired, the instincts generally merge into Wayne's and become a habit. If he uses magic, the coverage and intensity of the two abilities can be amplified. It's a pity that he can't let go, he has no magic power. Why does it become like this? Opening the Book of Greed for the first time, signing a family member to become a transcendent member, two happy things overlapped. And these two joys brought me more happiness, and what I got was a time that should have been as happy as a dream. But why does it become like this? Why are there all auxiliary skills and no attack skills? Until dusk, until the taxi arrived in the warehouse district, Wayne was still feeling sorry for himself. Mensin was weak, helpless, and pitiful. In his eyes, the contiguous warehouse complex was a savage beast entrenched on the earth. Once he stepped into it, he would be torn into pieces. The Death Believer stronghold is at number 66, Area F. It takes at least 20 minutes to walk there. Is it still too late to learn magic now? Wayne looked disheveled. Under his speechless gaze, Veronica took the first step and took a detour to the back of warehouse number 66 in Area F. The troops are divided into two steps and double-teamed from the front and back. This is the rhythm of being caught in one fell swoop. Wayne, I admire your courage and belief in fighting the evil forces to the end. Even though you were scared to death, you still followed. William raised a two-finger salute and dragged Wayne forward with his other hand. The hymn of mankind is the hymn of courage. For the sake of justice, I am willing to contribute my meager strength. Wayne said feebly that he followed because he was afraid of missing Veronica and William. He didn't know when he would meet the next magician. It was by no means courage and belief. Don't panic, Veronica is very strong, and with me here, you will be fine. I hope it never passes away. It has to be said that although William is gay and has a strong ability to reshape people of the same sex, his strong body also provides a sense of security. With him in Wayne, he feels much more at ease. And William is right, Veronica is indeed very powerful. With that handsome face, that small figure, she can casually pick up 9 figures after sleeping. If something unexpected happens, Veronica alone can attract everyone on the opposite side. Firepower. The time came to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and as the sun completely sank below the sea level, sporadic street lights came on in the warehouse area. The mist came immediately, hazy like gauze, and gently covered the entire city of London. As soon as Wayne got the supernatural feeling, he felt an ominous premonition due to the thin mist. His intuition told him that the night in London was really dangerous. The solution was to go home quickly, lie on the bed and seal himself with a quilt. However, the foggy road home was full of dangers, and he did not dare to walk alone at night, so he chose to stay with William. The smell of death, the barrier, it is indeed here. William looked at warehouse number 66 in Area F from a distance, took out a black hooded cloak from his handbag, and covered his tall body. After thinking for a while, he took out another one and handed it to Wayne, Veronica's black robe, which didn't fit Wayne very well. "Follow me, if there's a fight, you stand aside." William calmly stepped into the barrier with the cover of darkness and fog. It was a sparse and ordinary perception barrier, which was not highly targeted and could only serve as a warning effect, indicating that the strength of the death believers gathered in the warehouse was average and not threatening at all. William easily avoided the perception of the barrier, but Wayne didn't need to. The smell of death on him was very strong, and he was judged as one of his own by the barrier, and could not trigger the alarm, so he didn't need to cover it up. Wayne was thinking about the magic that the barrier could bring him. They were all magic. The Book of Greed could swallow William's magic, and it must be able to swallow the magic barrier of the death believers. He signed the contract for the second time, and maybe he could find an excellent follower and servant. The kind with built-in attack skills. In the end, it didn't happen. The Book of Greed was successfully opened. His vision was high, and he wouldn't eat anything. In the future, if Wayne wanted to control this book, he could only use his own magic. The problem returned to the origin. Wayne had no magic. At this moment, Wayne was more eager to become a magician than ever before. At the door of the warehouse, William listened at the door. He could be said to be bold and careful, or he could be said to lack in infiltration experience. Wayne frowned. He was a bad boy and had no right to speak. He could only think that the magician's operation was so simple. After a while, William heard the rustling prayer sound in his ears. Confirming that the believers were collectively praising the goddess of death, he gently pushed open the door of the warehouse and ducked in. Waving. Wayne stared at the waving big hand, wanting to complain but afraid of disturbing the order of the venue. He looked at the warehouse area shrouded in fog, and felt that there were ghosts everywhere. He had no choice but to follow suit and get in. William politely closed the door, muttered something incomprehensible, and joined the collective chorus of the believers with confidence. In the center of the warehouse, about 20 people gathered together, all wearing hooded black robes. They stood in a circle around a pattern of candles, with their fists crossed over their chests. The dim candlelight could not lengthen their shadows, and the half of their faces that were exposed were uncertain. Coupled with the strange tone of the prayer, everything made Wayne particularly uncomfortable. Judging from the style, the dead believers were obviously not good people. Wayne passed by the shelf, picked up a crowbar and held it in his hand, humming and hawing to pretend to pray, pretending to join the prayer camp. The believers were too focused and didn't notice the two strangers in the crowd. Wayne pretended to praise the goddess and looked at the candle pattern, the familiar inverted triangle, which was not complicated. There was no blood, no sacrifice, and no scenes of pure girls being disemboweled. As the believers prayed devoutly, death responded to them. The candle light turned to darkness, the inverted triangle symbol was dark in an instant, and the 8 tentacles spread out from the left and right sides, pointing to the ceiling of the warehouse and twisting in disorder. Wayne was fascinated. In a trance, he seemed to hear something in his ear. A low voice whispered softly, asking him if he would give everything without reservation. Wait a minute, why is the voice of the goddess of death so manly? Wayne was surprised and puzzled. Could it be that the goddess of death is a man, and she chose to debut in women's clothing in order to better harvest leeks? Wayne's thoughts were interrupted by a distraction, and the whispers in his ears were interrupted. He woke up from his trance and found that the believers around him had stopped praying and looked at him one by one. Wayne couldn't help swallowing his saliva as he became the focus of the crowd in an instant. The dim environment around him, coupled with the believers covering most of their faces, Wayne couldn't see their expressions clearly, and could only guess at the brutal faces and eyes full of anger. What was outrageous was that William joined the other side with a grin, shouting and retreating behind the crowd. "You said you would protect me. Intruder, this is not the place for you." A man stood out from the crowd, probably the leader, and waved his hand, asking his companions to come forward and hold Wayne down. Perhaps he smelled the breath of death on Wayne, and he happily said something cruel, saying that he wanted Wayne to get the goddess blessing tonight and completely transform into one of them. "Stop it, your goddess is a real man, and her voice is old and rough." Wayne retreated again and again, holding the crowbar across his chest, and seeing the believers standing still collectively, his courage doubled for a moment. "Take back what I said before, the crowbar is the best friend of mankind." Then Wayne saw the believers picking up the steel pipes on the shelves, and 20 people walked towards him with a grin. Wayne was sweating profusely and said dryly, "It's not a big deal, it's not a collective fight, otherwise, let's use fists, we can save a few years in prison." Bang! The high window at the end of the warehouse was broken, and a slender figure jumped in, reaching the center of the warehouse at the speed of a 100-meter sprint. It was Veronica. She did not let Wayne down. While the believers were away from the candle array, a glass jar hit the center of the inverted triangle symbol. After the crisp cracking sound, a cloud of green mist surged up, and the green plants full of vitality grew rapidly, disrupting the rhythm of death, causing the 8 spider legs to quickly wither and all drooped limply. "Damn, it's the claws of nature. Catch the heretic, she destroyed the sacred ritual, and she must pay the price." The leader was furious, and the believers turned their targets and rushed towards Veronica with steel pipes. At this time, the lights in the warehouse suddenly lit up, and William touched the switch on the wall. Veronica narrowed her eyes slightly, facing the strong man number 20 holding a steel pipe rushing towards her. She calmly opened her small bag and held a delicate and small pistol in her hand. "Don't move, I will shoot if you move." The believers stopped collectively, their movements were uniform, and under William's shouting, they put down the steel pipes and stood in a row with their hands against the wall. "Wayne. That's it, that's it. This is the cruel battle of faith, this is the battle of magicians. A bunch of cowards, aren't you believers of the goddess of death? You are ready to die, why are you so afraid of death? Pure passers-by, that pistol has at most 10 bullets, there are 20 of you, come together, she can't win." Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 7. The cruel war of faith ended with the death believers surrendering collectively, which made Wayne feel very uncomfortable. He admitted the power of the pistol, but it was too ruinous, and his complicated psychological activities just now were in vain. The shameless behavior of the death believers also made Wayne lose the minimum awe of the gods of this world. Think about it, the leader is a cross-dressing boss, relying on selling people to cut leaks, the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam is crooked, and the death believers cannot be expected to die unyielding. Wayne sighed and sighed, "It's good like this, he is ordinary, the world is safe, and he is safe too." On the side, the believers stood in a row with their hands against the wall. William, relying on his strong body, greeted the captives one by one on the physical level. One of the faces was familiar to Wayne, the dock worker Brutus, who was knocked to the ground by William's set of silky little combos. Oyster root, adu root, gaga brew root, X. Left hook, right hook, rising dragon fist, square root. Magic is so simple. When everyone was quiet, Veronica began to interrogate, still the same old trick, delicious mushrooms that made people hallucinate. Veronica tracked the traces of the Death Walker all the way, but she didn't expect that she would make a huge breakthrough in a short time and successfully wiped out one of the opponent's strongholds, but as the interrogation progressed, she inevitably became disappointed. The Death Walker did not attend the party tonight. The organizer, who seemed to be the leader, was just an errand boy. Veronica not only missed the opportunity, but also successfully alerted the enemy. The possibility of waiting for the rabbit is too low. Veronica asked the whereabouts of the Death Walker and got an answer that he went back to his hometown to get married. Wayne scratched his head. It was so outrageous, but so down to earth. The mysterious magician in his mind suddenly became friendly. After asking, Veronica learned the name and hometown address of the Death Walker. Mike Nelson, nicknamed Blood Mike, is from the town of Cafano, located northwest of the suburbs of Lund. Mike was born in a mule horse family. He came to the big city alone to work hard. He spent years in the docks and warehouses. Once he offended a local boss while trying to steal a job and was beaten to a bloody pulp, earning him the nickname Blood Mike. Mike has no money, no brains, and no money. He is destined to never turn over in his life. If nothing unexpected happens, he will be squeezed dry by the docks and return to his hometown with meager savings and a body full of injuries when he can no longer work. But somehow, Mike turned over. He became a believer of the goddess of death, and successfully mastered magic, winning over a group of younger brothers to grab a piece of land in the warehouse area. Mike never said a word about what happened to him. He was extremely pious to death, and his personality changed greatly. While Veronica was collecting intelligence, Wayne couldn't help but wonder, and asked William curiously, "William, as far as you know, is the goddess of death a man or a woman?" "Female." William did not hesitate, and added, "At least she looks like a woman." "What about her essence?" Why are you asking?" Just now I mixed into the crowd and pretended to pray, and I heard a voice in my ear. I don't know if it was the goddess of death. It was very low, definitely a male voice. He asked me if I was willing to sacrifice everything," Wayne said seriously. "That's not the goddess of death, but one of the three agents of death," Observer grew. "Do you see the spider mark over there? That's the symbol of the Observer." William answered Wayne's confusion, and then said in surprise, "Death never comes on its own, but you are lucky to be invited by the Observer himself. This shows that you and Death are very compatible." William didn't say another word. Wayne was invited by the Observer, and it is very likely that he will become the goddess of Death's dependent in the world, and thus gain powerful abilities, which is definitely not comparable to disciples like the Death Walker. "What kind of luck is it to be chosen by Death?" Observer grew. Wayne was halfway through his words when William covered his mouth. The latter approached with a big face and warned, "You are on the list of observers. You can't call him by name directly, otherwise he will think you are responding to the invitation. Do you understand?" Wayne was stunned, pushed away William's hand that seemed to be taking advantage, and asked curiously, "What will happen if he thinks I respond?" "His will come here and plant the mark of the disciple of death for you," William said solemnly. Gulp. William's voice was too cold, far from the usual optimism and sunshine. The huge contrast made Wayne swallow his saliva subconsciously, and secretly said that it was a thrill. Fortunately, the gay man stopped it in time, otherwise the will of the agent would come, and there would be no good juice today. Just thinking about it, a sudden change occurred in the center of the warehouse. The inverted triangle symbol submerged by green plants surged with black light, and the 8 spider legs twisted and entangled in the void, as if the sage time had ended, and it became lively again. The twisted spider legs sank into the void, connecting to the land outside the domain. The low murmur echoed throughout the warehouse, followed by the strong impact of the black curtain. The dark shock wave swept the entire place, and everything along the way was rendered gray and white. Veronica had no defense, and neither did William. They seemed to have been mentally prepared, or they were waiting for this moment. Not only did they not defend themselves, but they also calmly accepted the baptism of the black light. The believers were also safe and sound. The shock wave was only visually terrifying, but it actually had no physical killing power. After the black light dissipated, the gray-white warehouse returned to its original appearance. Except for Wayne, he felt that his body had undergone some changes. "Veronica, how are you?" William asked tentatively, and saw Veronica shake her head and sighed. "The curse is indeed not so easy to undo." "Who said last time that a negative comes out of a negative?" "Oh, I guessed it, then it's okay." Veronica made no comment and gave William a roll of her eyes to let William experience it. "I would like to take the liberty of interjecting. Regarding the curse, can you tell me more specifically? Is it because the will of the observer has come?" Wayne's expression was stiff, and his clothes were soaked with cold sweat on his back. "It has nothing to do with the observer, and it has nothing to do with you. The curse comes from another agent of death, the judge, because the destruction of the ritual caused the curse. I have put magic on you to protect you from the curse." William slapped Wayne on the shoulder. Just as he was proud of his foresight, his eyes suddenly widened and he said in disbelief, "What's going on? Where is my magic?" Are you cursed?" "Ask me, who should I ask? I don't know." Wayne cried sadly. Of course he knew what was going on, but only children admit their mistakes, and adults all know that passing the blame is the last word. As expected, William thought that he had made a mistake in casting the spell and Wayne was cursed. He was so panicked that he couldn't speak clearly. "Don't panic, you are not a magician, and you will not be cursed to seal the magic power. No, how do you feel? Why? So, has there been any change in your body?" As he spoke, he touched Wayne's body here and there. The latter refused and jumped far away. "Where are you touching? Is that a place where people of the same gender can touch?" "There are definitely some changes in the body." Wayne pursed his lips, his eyes drifted and seemed confused, and he said half seriously, "I'm very hungry, I want to eat." The more I think about it, the hungrier I get." As he spoke, he stared straight at Veronica, received a vicious look, and wisely focused on William. "Wayne, you don't want to eat people, do you?" William subconsciously took a step back. "That's not the case. Normal hunger, just food that can fill your stomach. Except for potatoes, there is another kind of hunger." Wayne took a deep breath. "It's not the body, but some inexplicable place. I can't describe it, let's just say it's the soul. My soul is hungry for magic, it should be magical energy. I'm not a professional, I don't know how to describe it." "Magic power," William answered quickly. Yes, that's it. I'm still hungry for magic power." Wayne nodded repeatedly and said firmly, "My soul longs for magic power. If there is no magic power to replenish it, the soul will soon starve to death." "Yes, that's it." Having said this, he glanced at Veronica again, and as expected, received another fierce look. "The judge's curse is extremely vicious and uncertain. It is not impossible to feed on magic power, but he is just an ordinary person and does not have magic power to satisfy the hunger of his soul. Even if he did, he would be sealed due to the curse just now. If leave it alone." A small popular science lecture came from the corner. Wayne looked down at the source of the sound, and what he saw was the black cat Monica walking towards him with cat steps. "Cat, the cat has spoken." Wayne's eyes widened. Monica jumped on top of William's head and continued, "William, because of your mistake, an ordinary person was cursed and he will die. You have to take responsibility for your mistake." "What can I do? I have been cursed to have all my magic power sealed away. The only remaining bit is saved by meditating every day." "I can't help him." William felt aggrieved and looked at Veronica with thick eyebrows and big eyes. "Dimension. Snored. Get a back of the head." William had no choice but to raise Monica high above his head and said with a playful smile, "You are lucky that the magic power is not sealed. Otherwise, you are responsible for feeding him. I owe you. I will give you whatever you want to eat in the future. Do." Monica was very talkative, and a thoughtful expression appeared on the cat's face. Yes, yes, but I can't always satisfy him unless he meditates to gain magic power. But it's too difficult. He will starve to death soon. William shook his head. That's right. Monica nodded, and after a while, it broke away from William's hold and jumped onto Wayne's shoulder with ease, and put its flesh-padded paws on Wayne's face. Hey, what a cute little meatball. Wayne looked sideways and looked into Monica's golden cat eyes. The latter said hoarsely, I can plant the seeds of magic in you, guide and help you become a magician in the shortest time, but there is nothing free in the world. Lunch, I am your guide. From now on, you can only believe in the moonlight goddess like me. Is there any problem? No. Wayne was so happy that he made up an excuse to become a magician. It was a blessing in disguise. However, he seems to have seen this combination of a magical girl and a cute pet that can talk and grant magic power somewhere. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 8. The black cat's little paws left, and Wayne was attracted by the white light spots that appeared in his body. He closed his eyes and found a ray of light in the endless darkness. A bright moon. The moonlight is like water, and the halo is like practice. The bright and soft moonlight is like slowly flowing clear water, and the rippling flashes are elegant and quiet, covering the ground in an extremely gentle way. Everything was so comfortable and reassuring that Wayne couldn't extricate himself from it. He felt like he was being embraced by the goddess, and her white palms brushed his cheeks. He just wanted to be free from the world, put aside the endless darkness, and rely on the goddess's tenderness. My heart will sleep soundly forever. You can't be wrong, justice is justice, and the moonlight goddess is a serious goddess at first glance. While Wayne was staring at the magic seeds, he also looked at the strangely styled Book of Greed. The big eyeball in the center of the book cover rotated chaotically, causing Wayne's vision to change. Under the new perspective, the picture suddenly blurred and was covered with a gray-white haze. Pale moon. A pale moon replaced the bright moon. The poor pixels were like a gunshot screen, and everything was shrouded in a gray-white filter. The elegance and tranquility no longer exist. Upon closer inspection, the pale moonlight is pitted with dense black and gray spots. The pale and decadent lone moon is described as withered, full of death and corruption. The more you stare at it, the more uneasy it becomes, and the more uneasy it becomes, the crazier it becomes. Wayne. Pashu, look at the good things you have done, quickly turn on the goddess's beauty effects. Just when Wayne lamented that the world was as dark as a crow, the undulating cover skin of the Book of Greed emitted a rhythm similar to breathing, drawing away the gray and black. The gun version returned to Blu-ray high definition, and the moonlight became holy again. The goddess filter is back. It was probably because he had glimpsed the true face of the goddess, or it could be the unscrupulous surrender of the followers of the goddess of death. Wayne really could not respect the gods of this world. He did not pay attention to the white spot, but turned to the Book of Greed. Next to the big eyeball, a smaller eye opened. The eyeball was gray and dull, with no movement at all. Wayne was stunned, not understanding what was happening. He suspected that the Book of Greed had been upgraded, but it turned out that it had not. The content of the pages was the same as before. There must be something more. The magic seeds left behind by Monica were still there. The Book of Greed did not desire magic power other than its owner, so it did not touch the potato. This made Wayne breathe a sigh of relief. It was indeed the code he had written by himself. Even if it ran out of new features, it was still full of integrity. Just like him, he would not eat what he asked for. Monica transferred most of her magic power into Wayne's body. The strong emptiness caused fatigue. She wanted to lie down and take a rest, but she didn't want to get too close to Wayne. William took advantage of the opportunity and held her in his arms. Middle. Monica, hold it high. Bang. Oops. At this moment, Veronica used her amazing arm strength to subdue William and snatch the black cat from his hands. Monica didn't want to comment on the two people's fighting behavior, and said to Wayne, who closed his eyes and said nothing, "Don't be anxious. The concentration of magic power does not happen overnight. Rushing for success will only be counterproductive. Relax and don't tense your nerves, sense the magic seeds I left behind, and the Moonlight Goddess will guide you to find your own magic." Wayne opened his eyes after hearing this, nodded, and continued to sense with his eyes closed. Monica was very interested in guiding others to practice for the first time. Although the master-disciple relationship was not established, she was a little nervous about being a teacher for the first time. It jumped out of Veronica's arms and circled around Wayne's feet. Veronica cast a jealous look, snorted and raised her fingers at William. "Clean up, put all these guys in boxes, and remember to knock them out." William nodded. They were still students at school, it was okay to fight, but killing was absolutely impossible. According to Veronica's plan, in case the Death Walker receives the information, a believer of the goddess of death cannot be let go, so he puts it in a box and locks it in another warehouse. Tomorrow, he will contact the school through the messenger bird and ask the instructors to come and finish it off. They personally hunted down the Death Walker in order to undo the curse on him. The sooner the better. Graduation is approaching and we can't delay it any longer. Veronica did not set out overnight to the small town of Cafano on the outskirts of London. She was in a hurry, but Monica needed to rest and replenish her demons. No matter how quickly, she would have to do it in the morning. London, foggy cold light. When night falls over the earth, the whole city quiets down at an extremely fast speed, or perhaps the people making the sound at this time are no longer humans during the day. This is especially true in the warehouse district. Workers finish work early and go home, or go to crowded bars, or meet love on the street, and discuss the true meaning of life together. Large areas are deserted, and the flickering street lights flicker on and off in the fog, creating a paradoxical atmosphere. There was a faint sound of wind, interspersed among the warehouses and intersections, and occasionally it screamed like a ghost crying. It was hard to tell whether he was really crying or fake. Wayne only knew that there were people in all directions. He could clearly feel that there were many pairs of eyes looking at him. Being too perceptive is not a good thing. Wherever he looked, Wayne felt that there was a piao, so close that he seemed to be able to pull one out of the mist with his hand. Out of double caution, he followed William closely. William walked for a while, then turned back and said coquettishly, "Wayne, can you stop being so close? It makes me feel very insecure. Otherwise, you can go ahead." "Haha, don't even think about it." Wayne ignored William and insisted on walking behind him. At this time, Veronica, who was holding the black cat in her arms, asked, "Wayne, do you have a car? You magicians are still short of cars, why don't you just rob one?" Wayne shrugged and said realistically, "I don't have a car, but I can get one. The speed depends on the money. The more you give, the faster I can do things. Can you drive?" "I can, but I'm not good at it." "That's good." Veronica nodded, took out a stack of Queen's portraits from her wallet, handed them to Wayne without clicking, and told Wayne to prepare a bunch of supplies by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Wayne took the money and asked tentatively, "Do I want to go too?" "You can also not go, but if you miss this time, I don't know when the next chance to lift the curse will be. If you are unlucky, this may be your only chance," Veronica said slowly. "Is it so scary?" Wayne didn't understand, and subconsciously looked at William. Seeing the latter nodded heavily, he chose to believe Veronica. "Wayne. It's terrible, I would rather believe a gay than a beautiful girl." Speaking of curses, Wayne did take the opportunity to add more ingredients. He was not greedy for magic power, but the feeling of hunger was real. The Book of Greed did not devour the curse energy. At present, if he wanted to solve the curse, he could only follow Veronica and William. Goo 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 goo. Hungry. It is an indisputable fact that the night in London is very dangerous. You can often see reports of certain citizens walking on the night road and disappearing in the newspapers. Combined with the illusory urban legends, London at night is even more mysterious. But what is more terrible than danger is having no money. The wealthy West District and North District have rich and colorful nightlife, not to mention Inner London in the Central District. The lights are bright all year round. The more nights, the more prosperous it is. It is a paradise that outsiders want to get into. Wayne was lucky to get a taxi, which allowed him to return to the detective agency before he starved to death. Because of his guilty conscience, William took the initiative to cook and prepare a table of delicious food. As a result, all the food was swallowed by Wayne before Veronica picked up the knife and fork. Veronica looked at William expressionlessly. "Why are you still standing there? Go to the kitchen. The ingredients I bought this morning are all used up, and only potatoes are left." X2. Veronica, potatoes are good, better than being hungry. Wayne, be merciful today and give potatoes another chance to prove themselves. After eating, Wayne continued to sense the magic. Monica was a very responsible senior teacher. She lay on the desk with her hands in her pockets, tutoring students and promoting the kindness of the moonlight goddess to the lost lambs. For example, the moonlight that led the way. The reason why they could pass through the fog unimpeded was because of the blessing of the moonlight goddess. Wayne had seen the true face of the moonlight goddess and questioned Monica's words. He didn't say it out loud. He was what the teacher said. The obedient and well-behaved good student made Monica's sense of achievement as a teacher crazy up. Goddess, this believer can be developed. 2 hours later, in order to flatter the black cat teacher, Wayne asked it which brand of dried fish it liked, and the teacher left with a dark face. Wayne was sharp-eyed and saw 2 small bells. Turning around, dark face. Got it, look for a shy little female cat for the teacher when no one is around. Because staying up late hurts the body, Wayne decided to stay up all night. The result was not very good. He nodded his head as dawn approached, and had a short nightmare, which woke him up. It can also be said to be a hungry dream. In the dream, he ate heartily, clearing one plate after another, and his eating manner was exaggerated like the reincarnation of a starving ghost. Those who knew it was because of the curse, and those who didn't thought he was going to swallow potatoes to commit suicide. Next to him was William, who was in a hurry, changing the way he served potatoes. Seeing that the food he cooked was eaten up by Wayne without leaving any, he couldn't help but look shy and happy. After waking up, Wayne raised his hands to cover his face. He knew that he would dream about what he thought about during the day. He could understand that he was hungry in his dream, but why was it William? Wouldn't Monica's dish be nice? Just as he was thinking, he heard the movement from the kitchen and was quite moved for a moment. There is a saying that is very true. Gays may have bad intentions, but they all have a warm heart. Take William as an example. He looks rough and violent, but he is gentle and kind. Whether it is the defensive magic full of warmth or getting up before dawn to cook for him, it proves that William is a kind person worthy of deep friendship. This person can be dealt with. Wayne? Damn it, Wayne, calm down, he is pwing you. Don't be fooled. Boys must always be vigilant in front of gays and cannot give the other party a chance to hold the handle and make a retreat. Wayne, it's time to eat, you still have to go out to do business, William shouted at the top of his voice. Here I come. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Feng Chao Huang. Chapter 9. At 12 o'clock noon, a blue family car was driving on the suburban highway. The farther away from London, the worse the road, but generally speaking, it was much better than Wayne expected, mainly because the air was fresh, which was hundreds of times better than the city of London. If it wasn't winter, it would be even better. The car was purchased in the second-hand car market. Wayne was commissioned by Dr. Reiner to investigate second-hand cars. He found many black spots in this car dealership. After a lot of intimidation and inducement, the other party, for the Queen's sake, readily recommended this 80% new black car. The boss didn't say where it came from, and Wayne didn't ask. He knew that Veronica didn't like civilian cars and was destined to be disposable. In line with the principle of speed, it only took half an hour to complete the purchase of the vehicle. It was unknown who the vehicle was registered under, and Wayne didn't have to bear any risks. The boss patted his chest and guaranteed that everything was legal. Compared with the civilian cars Wayne had seen in his previous life, the configuration of this four-seater blue car was very simple, so simple that there was only a dashboard on the operating table, and there was not even a radio. The body of the car is partially made of wood, and the rear of the car is designed with double doors. The trunk is very spacious and can hold a lot of things. Although it is simple, it is indeed 80% new. The headlights are very bright, the engine runs normally, the gearbox is also very reliable, and there is no odor in the car. Water will come out after starting it for a while and giving oil. Wayne drove the car out of the car dealership and purchased a batch of supplies according to Veronica's requirements. In addition, he also prepared 2 barrels of gasoline, 2 boxes of drinking water, and canned food, chocolate, and compressed biscuits of varying numbers. Veronica meant to go and come back quickly, and leave after catching Blood Mike to remove the curse. He would not stay in the town of Cafano for too long. If everything goes well, he can return to London that night. What she said made sense, so Wayne purchased a large amount of supplies. It would never be wrong to be safe. Veronica was responsible for driving. The female driver lost the trouble of poverty at a young age, so she was very skilled in driving. In contrast, William, who was sitting in the passenger seat, had an indescribable driving skill. He had a driver's license, and the university had a hard rule that he could not graduate without a driver's license. He had to work hard in the wind and rain for 2 years before he got it. In the back row were Wayne and the black cat Monica. Originally, Veronica asked Wayne to drive, but because teacher Monica had to give a class, the eldest lady became the full-time driver for this trip. Don't worry, the seeds of magic cannot be achieved overnight. It is more like a kind of guidance and inheritance, unless you are a genius. Seeing that Wayne was a little eager for success, Monica began to enlighten him and explained in detail the foundation of all extraordinary powers, magic. Magic is the lever to pry the extraordinary. Without magic, nothing can be discussed. For ordinary people who want to gain magic and become an entry-level magician or magic apprentice, a relatively gentle way is meditation. If you have connections, you can let the mentor lead the way. For example, the magic seeds planted by Monica for Wayne is one of the guidance methods. The radical way is to take the path of believing in the extraordinary and please the gods to gain powerful magic. The former progresses slowly, and many people are stuck at this level and spend a lot of time. Although the latter progresses very quickly, it is far less peaceful and safe than the former. After all, in the minds of believers, other gods are heretics, evil, and hypocritical, and only the gods they believe in are eternally great and glorious. After processing and word of mouth by believers, 99% of the gods are fictitious, and ordinary people are in the dark. Choosing a belief is like opening a blind box. If you are lucky, you can join a serious society and take it as your responsibility to uphold justice and fight evil. You are a positive character. If you are unlucky, you worship an evil god who tortures believers for fun. There are sacrifice indicators every year and every month. Not only will you suffer, but you will also become the minions of the evil god who is hated by everyone. Let's go back to the beginning of the magic seed. Black Cat Monica shared her magic with Wayne, used water to lead water, and used magic to awaken magic, allowing Wayne to skip the hard work of the initial meditation. If Wayne wants to strengthen his magic power in the future, he still needs to meditate persistently, but going from 0 to 1 is the most difficult. Skipping this stage can save a lot of time and energy. The success rate is 50-50. Everyone has the potential to become a magician, but not every attempt to lead water with water will succeed. So, if you fail this time, don't be discouraged. You will always succeed if you try a few more times. In theory, Monica doesn't need to guide Wayne to become a magician. If this trip goes smoothly, the curse on Wayne can be completely solved. It only needs to replenish Wayne's magic in a short time to keep his soul from hunger. The reason why so much energy is spent, planting seeds and opening lectures, is purely for Wayne. As a believer of the Moonlight Goddess, Monica is hostile to the goddess of death and darkness. Intercepting Wayne, who is targeted by the Death Walker, can not only thwart the opponent's plan, but also add a living force to her side. Winning twice is a win-win situation. I have to say here that Monica believes in the Moonlight Goddess, but Veronica and William do not. The former is a believer of the goddess of nature, while the latter offers his faith to the goddess of the sun. Nature, sun, moonlight vs death, darkness, the battle of the five goddesses can be traced back to thousands of years ago. Wayne closed his eyes and remained silent throughout the whole process, listening to the lectures of the Black Cat teacher, and exploring the existence of his own magic according to the tips given by the other party. The overnight stay was not in vain. He soon found his own magic. As a beginner, he could not describe magic with professional terms in the field of magic. In his understanding, magic is the product of the close connection between spirit, energy, and spirit, and God occupies a dominant position. God refers to the heart, thinking and mental power. Only this kind of wisdom crystallization born in the flesh, between matter and energy, can trigger magic and pry the world bound by rules. Wayne sensed a lot and saw his own magic clearly. It was pure white, but different from Monica's magic seed. The two kinds of white were very different. One was rendered white, and the other was the original white. At the moment when the magic in Wayne's body was excavated, the magic seed left by Monica was shattered on the spot. This scene attracted the attention of Veronica and William, and also made Monica dumbfounded. The cat was shocked. It didn't have high hopes. It just wanted Wayne to get familiar with the magic seeds for the first time. There would be plenty of opportunities after the curse was solved. It never expected that. For a moment, Monica was full of thoughts. She thought a lot and was glad that she was lucky. An impromptu interception not only destroyed the recruitment plan of the death believers, but also brought a believer with unlimited potential from her own goddess. If possible, Wayne might become a god's favored one. In the passenger seat, William swallowed his saliva and stuffed a mouthful of chocolate to calm his nerves. Veronica, who was driving, was not much better. She was distracted and didn't pay attention. The car deviated from the road and the tire ran over a big pothole. With a bang, Monica in the back seat flew into the air. In mid-air, the Black Cat was still confused. So fast, is he really a genius? Ah, Veronica, look at the road, look at the road. Amid William's screams, Wayne raised his hand to catch Monica who was falling, and stroked her twice when the cat wasn't paying attention, then pretended to put her back in place. It feels really good, try to play the little bell next time. Wayne lowered his head to sense the still weak magic power, and looked at the Book of Greed, and couldn't help but slowly grin. Veronica apologized quietly, glanced at the rearview mirror, and saw the big liar who wrote a diary looking down at his crotch and grinning. Hey, I was actually fooled by this kind of stuff. Veronica pouted her lips and poured cold water on him. Don't be happy too early, magic is very dangerous, From getting started to psychological counseling, from eating to taking medicine, from school to the cemetery, there are many magicians who go crazy every year. I hope you are not the next one. Wayne. Learning magic will make you crazy, what's the reason? Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 10. Magic is the truth of the world. The more magic you master, the clearer your understanding of the truth will be, and the more taboos and unknowns you will see. If a magician does not have strong self-control, and becomes curious about the mysterious unknown and the untouchable taboos, and puts them into action, his mind and will be distorted by terror. Even if you can restrain your desires, you still cannot avoid the risk of falling into madness. In this case, faith will undoubtedly strengthen your and my will and keep our minds from being invaded by terror. While driving, Veronica warned Wayne not to get carried away. His magic road has just begun, and there are still many precautions to learn. Perhaps it is because Wayne has gained magic power and has become an insider, and everyone is no longer a passerby relationship as before. Veronica's attitude towards Wayne has become friendlier. Not much, just a little. The reason is that the diary, the female college student was taught a hard lesson, and every time she thinks about it, she can't help but grit her teeth. The blue car is driving on the road at an average speed of 50 kilometers per hour. In this era without navigation, novice drivers are undoubtedly painful. It is true that Veronica can drive, but she has never been on this road. She groped her way forward according to the road signs and maps. During this period, she took several wrong turns and wasted a lot of time. The car turned in like a turtle. The lightning arrest operation plan failed as soon as it was implemented. The group will spend the night in the town of Cafano tonight. Near the town, the car stopped on the roadside. Several people ate to replenish energy and adjust their status to deal with the possibility of a sneak attack by the Death Walker. Wayne took out the loving potato lunch prepared by William for him and squatted on the roadside to eat it. In the car, he ate a lot of compressed biscuits, which were made of cooked oats, flour, jam, and margarine. The taste was very bad, and the more he ate, the thirstier he became. In this way, potatoes are not so hateful. Veronica leaned against the car body, holding the sandwich and eating it in small bites. She was very elegant. Even if there was no dining table, there were still many table manners to follow. In sharp contrast, it was not Wayne but William, who showed off a large bag of chocolates and teased Veronica while eating them. What's so good about sandwiches? Chocolate and beautiful girls are a dream combination. Veronica was so angry that she was choking. It was obvious that she was greedy for chocolate, but in order to maintain her figure and avoid excessive sugar intake, she had to suppress her desire for desserts. Veronica, this thing is much more delicious than a sandwich. William leaned over and grinned at Veronica, his teeth were full of dark chocolate, and his breath was sweet. If you don't die, you won't die. Veronica was teased with anger. She smiled at William, put down the sandwich in her hand calmly, and wiped her mouth with a silk scarf. William frowned, turned around and ran without saying a word. He didn't run 2 steps, and was kicked down by Veronica, who rushed over. He was groaning, and was locked in the ankle again, so painful that he clapped his hands and begged for mercy. William is 2 meters tall, with broad shoulders, a round waist and developed muscles, as strong as a bear, and a golden-haired strongman weighing more than 200 kilograms. Veronica is 1.7 meters tall barefoot, with fair skin, beautiful appearance, thin waist and long legs, and weighs less than half of William. As a result, every time William flirts, he is violently suppressed by Veronica. The speed and strength of the weak woman belong to. I'm wrong, Veronica, let go, my legs are going to break. Humph, will you dare to do it next time? I'll dare to do it next time. Ah. Wayne finished eating the love lunchbox, and continued to eat compressed biscuits with canned food. While eating, he watched how William was courting death, and said happily, "Veronica is really amazing, is this also magic?" "No, Veronica's magic power is cursed and sealed, and she can't cast powerful magic. She can only rely on some simple magic props to fight the enemy. The reason why she can suppress William is all due to her physical fitness." Monica walked to Wayne with a cat step, licked her paws and began to wash her face. Monica avoided the sight of several people and ate alone in the car, not allowing anyone to see her. Wayne suspected that she had secretly hidden dried fish. Physical fitness. Wayne was surprised. "Are you sure it's not a magic effect? How did she exercise? Look at her arms and legs, there are no muscles. She has dragon blood." "Dragon blood." Wayne swallowed the compressed biscuits in his mouth with difficulty. The image of a fire-breathing dragon appeared in his mind. He held his breath and said, "Is there a dragon in this world? What a dangerous world. Yesterday it was a magician, today it is a dragon, and tomorrow, will there be an angel blowing the trumpet of doom? No. Where does the dragon blood come from if there is no dragon? Inherited from her mother. Her mother is a dragon." Wayne was shocked. It turned out that his father-in-law was a dragon rider. "It's a human." "Wayne? Listen to your words, as if you listen to your words, you are standing here." Wayne rolled his eyes and said unhappily, "The last time I heard such constructive remarks was last time. You know, scientific research shows that every minute people waste is equivalent to wasting 60 seconds. The few of them rested for an hour, and the blue car set off again. According to the markings on the map, they were still 30 kilometers away from the town of Cafano. The woods on both sides of the road gradually became denser. Because it was the end of winter and early spring had not yet arrived, except for the fir trees that were not affected by the season, there was little green in the barren woods. Thick fallen leaves buried half of the tree trunks, and the air exuded a natural smell of decay. This time, Wayne drove. Veronica sat in the back seat, holding Monica in her arms and arranging new identities. She and William were siblings. Monica still played the role of a harmless pet cat. Wayne was the driver. He passed by the town of Cafano to rest for a night and would leave after filling up the gas tomorrow morning. In Veronica's plan, Bloody Mike could be caught tonight, the curse could be lifted in the early morning, and the car would leave at dawn. Any plan is perfect before it is implemented. Wayne is not optimistic about this. For example, Veronica's previous lightning capture operation plan died because she didn't know the road. As a newcomer, Wayne had no say. Seeing that William and Monica both approved the plan, he knew what was going on and didn't say much. Rumble. A strong light flashed, followed by a huge roar. A gloomy thundercloud descended from the sky at some point, and the whole earth was shrouded in darkness. "You scared me. Why did it suddenly thunder?" Wayne narrowed his eyes slightly. The moment the lightning burst, the world in his eyes suddenly became dazed. Fortunately, he followed the traffic rules and kept his hands on the steering wheel, so he could stabilize the front of the car and didn't hit the tree. Snap! A gray and translucent hand grabbed the hood, and the deformed palm left a dazzling black and red blood mark. It seems that there is a ghost under the car, and it is about to climb up to grab the steering wheel. Wayne's eyes shrank suddenly, and he cursed the car dealer in his heart, and his breathing became much faster. "Damn it, you said that for the Queen's sake, this car has no soul ring attached."